The year-end stats are in, and Animal Crossing New Horizons is undoubtedly one of the hugest, most popular things ever. And when you've got a game of this magnitude with this much momentum, one that everyone knows and everyone discusses, and then a kind of popular, stupid YouTuber posts a bad title, it's gonna ruffle some feathers. It's gonna make some shockwaves. Industry analysts are gonna clown, and other YouTubers are gonna say, ha ha, yeah. Well, that stupid YouTuber is me, and we're gonna talk all about it. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hope you're having a fantastic day. A bunch of stats came out today revealing Animal Crossing New Horizons to be a juggernaut. Can Nintendo craft something similar in 2021? It's gonna take a lot of work, and I want to discuss. But first, I posted a video a few days back about Cyberpunk being removed from the Sony store. And I got too cerebral, and like I do often, I think like a weirdo. Sometimes I feel like I'm not from this planet. And in my head, I wanted to have a discussion about how Nintendo should be praised and given kudos for being so committed to quality and polish in 2020. But my goofy mind decided to title this video, Sony Removes Cyberpunk, Could Animal Crossing Ever Get Pulled on Nintendo Switch? It wasn't malicious. I didn't think it was a problem. I posted the video and had dinner and didn't think twice. But Imran Khan, who's a big industry analyst, we've referenced him many times on the channel for his Nintendo rumors, leaks, and predictions, said, I was wondering what Nintendo sites and YouTubers are talking about this holiday when most of the news is about other platforms. Post my title, Goofs on SwitchForce. And I feel like a big dummy. Andre Seegers, the head of GamExplain, chimed in saying, honestly surprised it didn't pull in more views because apparently it seems like a really dumb, clickbaity, stupid title. Ugh, I goofed. I shouldn't have done this. When a game is this popular, when a game is discussed this much, I should have thought broader. I wanted to have a discussion with my Animal Crossing fans who maybe don't play a lot of other Nintendo games and highlight how I'm so proud of Nintendo for no matter what, just loving us enough to always deliver polished products. You don't have to love every game they make, but you gotta respect their commitment to excellence. Sometimes I think I love what Nintendo stands for more than even the games themselves. They're about creating happiness, camaraderie, family fun, and doing it with quality that is kind of unmatched in today's gaming industry. And that's what I wanted to talk about, but I really should have called this video why Nintendo would never have a Cyberpunk debacle, or why Nintendo and Animal Crossing would never be like Cyberpunk. And yeah, it's a little embarrassing that the time I get recognized by a very popular video game analyst is for a goof. It's for a clown. I really wish that Imran Khan recognized me for an interesting opinion or a really cool video, but alas, this is how it goes. And I never thought that that title would make people think that AC was actually gonna get pulled. I have the best intentions, guys. Like, I promise, like, I'm a pure, young-hearted kid who loves games and loves making videos and loves you. And I don't know. I'm like the dude on the playground that always has the quirky ideas, and people are like, and some people are like, oh yeah, and some people are like, dude, but oftentimes it just doesn't connect. I'm trying. And honestly, I don't think people that have these quick takes really watch the video, because if you watch the video, you would know that I in no way ever suggested or insinuated that Animal Crossing would get pulled. Love the game. Massive success. It was a conversation about Nintendo's quality. But let's converse about the Animal Crossing stats. Look at these numbers, man. Goodness gracious, Tom Nook just won all the awards. This is like an Emmy swarm, an Oscar obliteration. Somebody just gets up there, has the best performance ever, and says, gimme, gimme, gimme. Animal Crossing New Horizons was the second best-selling game in the UK. It was the third best-selling game in the United States. It was the first best-selling game in Japan. When we talk about most Googled games of the year, it still made the top 10. When we talk about most covered games on like news sites and video game review places, it was number 4. YouTube, for some reason, is not even top 5, but I haven't heard of some of these games, so I'm clearly out of touch with what's most popular. But Animal Crossing was the second most discussed game on Twitter, which is really interesting, and all of that added together creates an absolute awesome sauce party for Nintendo. This title, matched with the year we had, was the perfect storm, and it delivered insane success for Nintendo. Can they have that in 2021? I don't think that they can, but I also don't think that they need to. The best candidate will be Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, a game that is heavily anticipated and has a massive fan base. But we know Zelda games never sell as well as some of Nintendo's other franchises, although BOTW 1 did break records and do bonkers numbers. Now the Switch install base is larger than ever before. It's thriving unprecedentedly, and any game that does even decent will do super well. We don't need to have another 30 million seller in 2021 for Nintendo to have a tentpole year. And I think as long as they're able to keep the releases a little more consistent and emphasize some of their top tier properties, we're talking Link, we're talking Mario, we're talking Animal Crossing continuing with DLC and updates, they're gonna do just fine. And I think they have an opportunity to set the standard and deliver their best year ever. Based on rumors, leaks, and what we already know, it really feels like 2021 will be a recreation of 2017, a year that featured Zelda, Mario, and probably Splatoon. Like, try to imagine a game in 2021 doing what Animal Crossing does, but not Animal Crossing. Like, it's gotta have some sort of user-generated aspect. It's gotta have some real cultural relevance and hit at just the right time so people are just like totally obsessed. It's got to have appeal to a whole lot of different ages and demographics. You see, Animal Crossing really does it all in terms of achieving a high spot on this list. It really takes the cake. There are games here like Final Fantasy XIV that was most discussed on Twitter, games that are bestsellers like Call of Duty, but there's not a game that really rises to the very top across the board. It's so interesting that Animal Crossing did achieve this, and I'm trying to imagine a world where Breath of the Wild 2 is such the all game that it can do this. Like, you can design Link's sword, and you can share your favorite stories with Zelda, and it has cooperative elements, but it also is really cute, but it's also really good, but it's like... What game would do this? If Splatoon 3 is just like really impressive and has this downright awesome multiplayer that makes moves on the last two games but still stays in that nice slot of being a fun shooter for all, could that achieve it? It could, but I don't think squids and kids are as cute and cuddly as bears and squirrels. I don't think anything in the Switch generation will ever do what ACNH did. And that doesn't mean that every other game is a failure. No, it just really makes you appreciate ACNH and the fact that we got a game that could do this much. It's like one of those shining moments that you'll never forget. I know I won't, making the videos, playing the games, meeting all of you, and I hope it was a good memory for everybody as well. And that's why when I make a dumb title and I get too cerebral and I think like Zach and not like the world, Imran Khan's out there saying, hey, dumb Nintendo channels posting dumb titles during the doldrums of the year. And it really is kind of a low period in terms of Nintendo news. It's the very tail end of 2020. They had an indie world, but they haven't had a real big direct in quite some time. Maybe we'll start the year off in 2021 with a big show to further highlight Monster Hunter Rise, what the Bowser's Fury in Super Mario 3D World even is, and if they've got any plans for an early year Switch iteration. The scuttlebutt around the Switch Pro is up and down, yes and no. It's happening, it's not. I'll reserve judgment for now, but I'm very intrigued to see what Nintendo has planned for the year. I think they're ready to go big, and their numbers, thanks to Animal Crossing, have been insane in 2020. So whatever they launch, as long as their salvo is strong, it's gonna be successful. I'm very curious to see what is most discussed next year. If Animal Crossing has staying power, are people still going to be searching for QR codes on Twitter and discussing the latest updates even when we've rolled through a full 12 months? I'm not quite sure, but I want to find out. Do you guys think ACNH will still have this massive internet gargantuan power in 2021? Do you think Breath of the Wild 2 has a chance to overtake it, or will it not even come close? Or does Nintendo have a title that we haven't even thought of yet that could overtake the internet? It's interesting because sales don't always indicate a cultural phenomenon. Mario Kart is a massive seller, but nobody talks about it in the social media sphere like they do Animal Crossing. This was truly a perfect storm, and I'm glad we got to be a part of it. Until next time though, thanks again. Stay safe, stay smart, stay healthy out there. Double check your YouTube titles and don't be a goof. SwitchForce out.